Hello, I'm Luis. I'm currently a student from Fullerton College. I'm conducting this interview to gain some insight on the effect that COVID has had on students' lives. Anyways, I chose you because I know that you've gone through 2 years of COVID as a student, and that may lead to a non-traditional college experience. And so, with that, I'm hoping to learn about how COVID has affected your life or performance in school. Okay, so first off, can you please state your name and age?
My name is Emily, and I am 23 years old.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how long have you been attending college?
I am also a Fullerton College student, and I've been attending for 5 years, and hopefully, this will be my last year here, too.
So, what is it that you do now?
So, I'm about to work at Disney. I'm also studying to get an associate's degree in studio arts. And I am just working on making sure my craft is better.
Can you tell me what happened on March of 2020? And what did you initially think about the news on COVID?
So I'm actually going to answer this question backwards. So when COVID started becoming a thing, right? I remember that I was in my cultural anthropology class, and the professor one day showed up with a mask and looked in a panic, and everybody else was just like so confused, right? Because we were all talking about it and how it was spreading here in California. So we didn't think of anything really initially that it was gonna like spread like wildfire, right? But it wasn't until March that year when COVID had officially started for Fullerton and there was a lockdown. I actually got sick that day. I didn't go to school. I had my one of my art classes, my um what is it called? It's that one class where like we had the naked models, right? So I didn't show up that day at all, and I had work there too. And I got the news that campus is closed from now on, and I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Because one, I was just like, I couldn't believe it, and the other thing is, I had left all my art materials in the campus lockers, so I was like, how am I gonna get my stuff now? You know, are they even gonna allow students to get their materials or even to enter campus? So I was just like in a huge predicament when that happened.
After that, how did COVID change your learning experience?
So when COVID happened, it affected me negatively. At first, I was like, I was trying to make sure I was catching up with everything, making sure that I was keeping on top of like going on the Zoom classes and just adjusting to everything. But after a while, just being stuck at home, I started developing depression.
So, did your performance in school improve, or was it negatively affected by the lockdown?
That semester when COVID started, I finished with good grades, but the following semester after that, I did so horribly in most classes where I ended up dropping out from one of my classes for the first time, and I ended that semester with a bunch of Fs.
So, typically, young adults tend to work in less stable jobs. Did COVID disrupt your life in any way financially?
I was affected by it because I was still heavily active within school, not education wise, but I was working at the bookstore on campus, and I got to experience firsthand of like, how some people were functioning with the job during COVID, and I, along with the people I used to work with, were putting myself at risk to make sure that the students got their materials, were able to get their textbooks. We would work under really uncomfortable conditions, having to make sure that we were wearing like masks, And then face guards. You couldn't breathe. I was having to wear a ponytail a lot of the time and making sure I was prepared for any sort of kind of weather. So, and then afterwards, financially, I was struggling because you had to have a certain amount of units in order to continue to work there. And again, I was struggling with keeping up with my grades back then.
And how did these new sets of challenges affect you mentally?
It affected me mentally because, again, I started to develop a severe depression where I ended up being medicated, and I'm still am taking those medications, but I still struggle with depression to this day.
So, hypothetically, if according to an article, it is said that some believe graduation and grading standards were lowered to accommodate students during the COVID lockdown, how do you think this would affect your chances of employment in your field?
Personally, this question could go either way because getting a job within the art industry in anything, it's been always a difficult challenge to get into, right? And I think that them making accommodations for students, it affected some people greatly, but in my case, it didn't really help me. It made everything so difficult for me still.
So, tell me, how was your social life affected during the lockdown?
I was starting to get used to socializing more. I've always been a very social person, like even back in high school. But then, after being stuck at home for so long, you just wanted to like know what people were doing. You wanted to go and see them. You wanted to go and hang out with other people besides just your family and those who just you're stuck in a confined space with. So I developed depression because of it, and um, I afterwards it felt like I didn't even know how to socialize with people anymore.
Can you tell me what sort of resources did you have during COVID?
So kind of the types of resources we had were like Zoom, and that luckily a lot of the professors were just as we're learning to adjust, they're also learning to adjust, so they're very lenient on like us making appointments with them, asking questions, just like being able to talk to them, and just making sure that we had this environment where we were still in an education space. And if we were able to, some of us were still able to go to campus, but we had to stay in our cars in the parking lots. But unfortunately, I wasn't one of those cases because I didn't have a car back then. So I was always just stuck in my room. And anytime I had like class going on, I kicked everybody out of my room until classes had ended.
How did you feel about going back to in person learning after the COVID lockdown?
This question gets me a little bit because I remember it, and it was last semester in the fall where I decided to go back. I was struggling, and I have been still struggling with this one class in particular, right? And I had so much anxiety going back into in-person learning, but I knew that that was the only way to really help me. Because I do so much better in certain environments where I'm actually in the classroom instead of being taught online. So there was a lot of anxiety again, but after adjusting to it, and now that I'm in this new semester going back to in person, it feels normal again. And interacting with people I haven't seen in a while, or I haven't seen since like high school, it's helped me. It's helped bring back my motivation and want to just talk to people and just try to get myself out there again.
How did you maintain your motivation to continue pursuing a college education?
Getting that motivation back, honesty was pretty hard, but I'm still thinking about my future. I'm still thinking that I want to succeed. Even though I've struggled so much and I was supposed to graduate like a year or two ago, I still want to be able to like show that I can still do it. COVID has affected me greatly, but I want to be the first generation in my family to graduate with some kind of degree or some associate's degree and go to university. So that's what keeps me going right